So what happens when a poet decides to take on the Big Bang? That's exactly what we're diving into today with Marie Howe's amazing poem, Singularity. It's this beautiful look at the science of where we all came from, but also at that very human need to understand our own origins. It all kicks off with this really simple and, super honest confession. After trying to wrap her head around Stephen Hawking and Neil deGrasse Tyson, the poet Marie Howe just admits it. She can't quite believe it. And isn't that something a lot of us can relate to? The science is so huge, it can feel almost impossible to really truly grasp. And this sets up a fascinating collision, not of planets, but of two different ways of seeing the world. You've got the hard science of astrophysics on one side, and the gut-feeling, metaphorical world of poetry on the other. See, Howe isn't trying to disprove the science, not at all. She's looking for the human story hiding inside of it. What's great is that she grounds this whole thing in a feeling we all might share. She'll get up in front of an audience and ask, okay, be honest, who here really believes that everything, the stars, this chair, you, me, was once smaller than a pinprick? And just as she suspects, hardly any hands go up. It's this shared, human-sized doubt that becomes the doorway into her poem. So starting from that place of, I'm not sure I buy this, Howe does something incredible. She takes the cold, scientific idea of the singularity and completely transforms it. She imagines it not just as a cosmic starting point, but as a kind of deep, universal memory of what it felt like to truly belong. And this is the very first line of the poem. It's a question aimed right at us. She's asking, do you ever feel a pull, a longing, for a time before we were all separate, before all the division? It's a massive imaginative jump, and she's inviting us to take it with her. This right here perfectly shows you her big move. Science talks about the singularity in these abstract, almost alien terms. But the poem, it uses these warm, tangible human details. So compact you didn't need a bed or money. Imagine that. A world so connected that the idea of yours versus mine just didn't even exist. Okay, so if the singularity was a time of perfect, absolute unity, then what's this? What's the world we live in now? The poem turns right to that question, and its diagnosis is that our modern world, the world after the bang, is defined by a deep and profound separation. The poem starts to paint these incredibly sharp and painful pictures to show us what that separation feels like. And it starts on a very personal level, with a feeling so many of us know, that quiet, desperate loneliness of a kid hiding from the world. And then the poem deepens that sense of private despair. These aren't huge cosmic images. They are small, quiet, tragic moments of loneliness that really define what it means to be human in a world that feels so broken apart. But then the poem zooms out. This feeling of loneliness, it's not just a human thing. She points to the grief in the animal world, suggesting that this ache of loss, this separation, is something that's felt across all of life. And finally, the poem takes it one step further. The circle of loneliness expands to include our massive disconnect from the planet itself. The world is hurting, but we've forgotten how to listen. We don't speak its language anymore. The separation feels complete. And this is really the core of it all. Every one of those images of pain and isolation, that's the result of where we are now. But the poem keeps reminding us there was a time before this awful loneliness set in. Right, this is where the poem takes a truly profound turn. It stops just describing the problem of loneliness and starts to float this radical, really moving idea about memory and how we're all connected. This is the poem's central, mind-bending question. Could the very atoms that make up our bodies actually hold a physical memory of that original oneness? Is it possible that the longing we feel for connection isn't just in our heads, but in our cells? To even try to imagine that time, the poem has to just strip away everything we use to make sense of the world. There was no I or we, no identity. There was no was, no past tense, no language as we know it. There was no them. The divisions were gone. Animal was energy, rock was liquid. A state so fundamental that our basic categories just fall apart. And all of this deconstruction, it leads to the poem's absolutely breathtaking finale. After taking our reality apart, it puts it back together in this final, powerful image of what that singularity truly was. The poem starts to narrow our focus, pulling us in,
making us look at something impossibly small.
And she just keeps repeating it, really emphasizing the scale, forcing us to try and imagine a single point that holds literally all of existence inside it.
And then it just overflows, not with a bang, but with a feeling of pure existence, not something that was, but something that just is, over and over and over, until it's this overwhelming, incredible presence. And there it is, the poem's final thought, that singularity, that tiny dot of pure is. It wasn't just the start of the universe, it was home. It is home, the ultimate home that we've all been separated from. So the poem leaves us chewing on this. Maybe that loneliness we feel isn't some personal failing. Maybe it's a kind of cosmic homesickness, a memory stored in our very molecules, of a time when every atom that belongs to me also, just as much, belonged to you.